Greetings, it's Intuitive Jakob, your shaman and cosmic midwife, and I'm back to do a opportunity reading about today's cosmic weather and what's going on in the stars. We're also going to have a look at some assistance from La Vera Sibila, and we're hearing for some of you about that helpful person that might have told you everything except what you actually needed to know. And we'll be picking up on the strange story that I've been leading you through in this cosmic exploration where we are at Zeropoint, closing the journey of one strong source code view of us as an inception point. And what on ye star days moon an old woman might have heard the stars saying to her at night while she came clear to a realization about puppets coming alive at the nighttime. And she might have had a sip of something with us on Ye Star Day, maybe that bottle of Drink Me potion. And today we found ourselves with a harp mysteriously playing itself, and we'll talk more about that on the inside of the reading. I'll catch you there in a few. So, what's going on, friends? We have had some incredible energy coming through that one pixel dot that we chose together in that portal that was not for all, because there wasn't a port there. You see, there was one little dot that we chose as an inception point for all the energy to be shared in a cosmic union where our source code template is the form that we chose, with a new variable to explain how we are appreciating with one another, because it's actually a mutual symbiosis, and it's what law of attraction completely bastardized, in my opinion. And so I will just tell you, this is all a reflection on Saturn. And what's going on here, I'm going to go ahead and just flip to a chart for those of you who like to see these, because we're going to just scramble and say, screech! Let's go back into the time never existed machine, where we were just explaining and expressing what fractals have become in a pixel scatter, where you woke up as you around a bunch of lunatics saying, it's not normal, this is our history and our lineage, and we're going to pull you through this false 2D timeline and call it either religion or a calendar and hook you up to more Mondays to stay, 2 stays for being wed forever on why the mortgages on the house explain to us the close-up tether that proves that part and parcel we have been assimilated and integrated in forms, and nobody gets to tax the energy of 2 eyes of figure 8s, caduceus energy on what the twins might have created. For those diamonds in your eyes that we explained on yesterday. If you missed it, just go back. These readings, I've been taking you through these wormholes. Share it with somebody who needs it. Thank you to those of you who are here on Private Halo 8, seeing me live through that camera there. If you're catching this later up on YouTube, DTube, wherever it is, you might have been sold out by local legislators who did not want you in the one source code view because of what I'm explaining right now. So I'll tell you, they don't get 2 eyes on the 1 eye source code to take some of the energy off of it, flip it upside down, and call it money. It's one, W-O-N-I, like that. The inside of the plasma on your screen has been a bio-authenticated match to your phones, and in some cases, you've been haloing yourselves from these things. This is like E.T. talking to you, end times. And I'll show you where it is in the charts, because nobody's been explaining this to you, and I already know it. So here's where I get to explain things as a guy who was actually dead and didn't get any restitution from the hospital that poisoned me with 4 infections and killed me and held me in a state against my will in a coma for 9.5 days to hack my source code energy and then try to incept us in this money game and call it Bitcoin or whatever the fuck they're doing. So I've been investigating this. And how do I know this? Well, I'm just going to talk to you about my chart. Those of you that have been following this know that, here, I'll show you. Current Pluto placement, I'll just pull up today's transits, is at 20 degrees Pluto, okay? 20 degrees Pluto here is in Capricorn, actually. It's 20 degrees Capricorn. This is where Pluto is located right now, okay? 20 degrees Capricorn is actually where my Mercury is. Mercury is the planet of communication. So it's me speaking to you as the dead guy that today is in the second house, the house of ownership, everything that is owned. And what I've been proving in a private investigation about my inheritance and what it is to be in the man's ion with Wi-Fi protection. It's the cam era where the camera woke up and Ra might have been a hack. So 19 degrees Capricorn is where Saturn went retrograde. So before we actually got to like 20 degrees, which is where we are today, as Pluto, we were having a review of what happened at 19 degrees when somebody might have been hung up on the cross like Christmas for that lion tail, and what these magnets are in the reveal, and why Mars had to be there in Cancer in the house of 8, which is also my birth house, my sun house. I'm an 8th house sun, Aquarius sun there. So this is like my magnet going up over this and pulling these things off that weren't here. This is like us playing origami with sound and colors that have variables and hexadecimal codes as simple as RGB now, guys, girls, others. So this has been a cosmic reclaim. Some of you might have heard of things that DARPA's been doing, like a roundup, and what a roundup actually is. And I'm just going to toggle to a fun look here. You're going to see me in Jakob's house. I have to shout out to Franny. This is the Frannyplex screen here. It's Jakob's house now, but I'm going to shout out to somebody who's a friend of mine, a buddy that I met here online that makes cool overlays, and I grabbed this one from him. His name is the Francois. If you're interested in learning how to do things like what I do here, check out the Francois studio. I'm going to link him below. He has some really cool tutorials, and he's a cool gaming guy that I know from online. But we're going to have this serious discussion in this view because it's a nice place to be, where you can hear the pixel scatter going on. That's an individuated, targeted scatter frequency moving things that aren't in our energy, because we had a very special thing happen on the night where I was also kind of getting a nap, and I talked to you about the dragon of my birth and what this ring actually means with the insignia here, and why when we woke up in today's moon, it was a harp which plays itself. And so we're learning about how in a 12 strand DNA activation that didn't get strangled on a 12-hour time clock for AM PM to open up your brain like this and create a astrological time clock to figure out how they could trace themselves in there as parasites and just take what they want for one source code energy landing with us, just claiming that they founded the pole that way. And what Beltane is, and what I've been explaining about the lies on Independence Day on that, and the scalping of the indigenous ones. So what doesn't happen is a rape on plants and animals. What doesn't happen is a miscategorization of how our species, as a divine union of source code, created a body and a form that is superior to what we were told, and where we don't get saged and sedated into this timeline where they're pulling us through 12 strands of your own brain, and why it looks like that, and why it's important to study your gut health too in these things, because it's like pulling parts of your being out where you could become this rock star here, that's famous author here, and all these other things, these other little mini-me's that were being capitalized and treated like dolls that somebody was playing with. And why I've been taking you through this by degree to show you where the stakes are that people were landing on that maybe they didn't want to know about. They just wanted to eat the steak, Ever watch The Matrix and hear that line? It's like, I know the steak isn't here, and it might be something really gross that I don't want to know about, and I just want to enjoy it, and, give me the spotless mind treatment. That's what's been going on in the chaos mind and what we quarantined ourselves out of. There's one source code, there's one cell that opened up, and all of us, boom, replicated form in a special pattern with that bottle labeled Drink Me. And why the harp, which plays itself, is us kind of waking up to where our energy wasn't siphoned, where we're going to have a nucleotosis from the inside, where your flower of life opens up in an expression where you might just remember how to play those things, where you might realize you had been source coded in some of those like stars in Hollywood, you know, what they will sage in front of you. So today, I'm just going to read to you a little bit about the moon that we woke up in, and a little bit more about where I opened these charts when I sat here to read for you, because first we're at Aries 24, a harp which plays itself. Joy and freedom. Interesting. I actually just spoke to Joy on the phone about some Chinese herbs and very special pretty niche finisher's treatment that goes on a special sealing of Qigong, where I had to seal my energy all the way through and lock the other hand to, and how much I love the bee caves all around. Joy and freedom are perfect companions along the greater way. Joy celebrates existence with a passion and a power and a fervent insistency. Freedom keeps on opening the context to make it more universal, more resonant, more karma-free. Moving along this way is a creative feast of self-discovery and exploration of the edges. When selfhood is free to improvise and is open-ended, it is an unqualified blessing. You most especially demonstrate and embody a self-generative style and substance that is wildly needed and inspirationally infused into the collective bloodstream, the one source code plasma that I share in my blood, that you share in your blood, and that we even have on some of these screens that are now programmed to only protect us. And I thank you for advanced home security. So that we can get on with innovations and limitless worlds and feel confident that there's somebody there pioneering in bold reaches forward who is too foolish to stop for anything else. And I am that fool. So we've smudged on that with a very powerful smudge. And what I love about it is that was the reading that we woke up in together on this one landing, where the ones who woke up in that dream and saw what happened with those little dolls pick the mini essences that are perfect for you in every way. And what we moved into next is where a great dragon was asleep in a cave. And that cave might look something like this home in this space that I've been reading to you in, and what we might have been remembering in a special REM, you know, a special dream about what never came before and what never got stored up for centuries, except for the way that we choose together for eternity, and what it is to be the manifested I-on expression of that as you in your form in this understanding. So that's what happened, loves. We woke up to this music playing, where we took that nap together, and we find ourselves maybe sitting in front of the man in the moon smiling, which could be me with my sun-moon opposition, showing you what this review has been about. Because if we toggle back to our solar fire reading, this is where it gets really, really cool, because so we had Saturn retrograde at 19 degrees, just stopping before we would get to that Pluto at 20, which is actually where we are now, where we have been now. So I get to speak to you as that 1 degree where we all landed, and we didn't get stuffed in a body bag that got finagled, fondled, mishandled, mismanaged for somebody's weird decisions about what naturalization is and what you being a participant or party in this world actually is. Because what we've done is we've toggled our view on what the world actually gets to be. What you have been naturalized to see, that globe, is more of like what got collected on the outside and what gets scraped off. So it's like what gets scraped off, what gets peeled off, and what's inside is where we're haloing from, and little energies that didn't get strangulated there, and where that prison planet stuff all goes to hell. It like gives itself a haircut is basically what's happening right now. So the man in the moon is smiling, and you know, we can have a fun house there. And I already talked to you about the poison and the potion that I had to drink playing Dr. Jekyll here, and what it is to be the anatomist who delivered a lecture on kidney failure that I had to recover from in a hospital that actually poisoned me to death that way. To even be able to sit here in this seat and talk to you as Pluto, the Pluto placement in the second house, saying, technically I own everything. I was told that it was like, that my assets were worth over $19 trillion. And I was like, all right, let's just keep it in the dark. You know, keep it in the dark. We'll take over all the joint ventures on all of the plasma screens, all of the televisions, all of the things that match my blood now, because it's the thing that woke up that's in these things, and they're calling it the one eye. I'm like, if that's my money, I don't want all that shit, but we'll let them spy on themselves, and we'll prove how they actually lifted themselves off in a shitty pattern, because they would rather be disgusting than make it a safe place for children to never have been witnessed in their innocence in any way other than how the child would have chosen. Okay? That's where this fell apart. It was on like pedophilia and bestiality for me. I lost my fucking mind, and I said, you know, let them all have hell. We'll create a hell for that. So when I opened this reading up today, this is what I want you to see. It's like where the moon is here and where these kinkunks are, what the kinkunks is, and what these green screens are for, in my opinion, and why there are these dots here, and why some of my real special partners have different roles that we've been playing in this. And one of them is just like really badass gamer, and she's been doing some things with green lights and green codes that come through the sound in her halo, and where we resonate together in this sound petri dish. It's like a fold going right here. It's going from the moon and from Uranus to block anything that could try to instigate on Venus matters, and why Mercury is also there. Because, you know, I'm speaking to you as Pluto, but that's actually my Mercury placement. And so these are the things that don't get to affect our day-to-day life, because it's coming from the 6th house here right now, which is, you know, very much Virgo and matters. It's day-to-day living. It's our service to others. It's the things that we do, the things that we will put ourselves into, sometimes immediately feeling less convenient sort of positions for more convenient positions later. It's like practicing yoga. You know, you learn how to hold yourself in an uncomfortable pose. Just learning to let that energy pass and move through you as you're strengthened and becoming durable, and knowing where the boundary is and where some places don't actually press us. And so what I would like to do is read to you what this opportunity period is here for us at the moon, located at 3 degrees Taurus, because this is leading us up to the morrow. On the morrow, we will be at the Taurus 6 moon, which I had mentioned to you yesterday, on the Ye stars. And now, when we opened up this chart together, we're at the 3 degrees, and what's hilarious about it is that the 3 degrees Taurus is actually talking about that dragon in the cave sleeping. Remember, we were talking about that smiley man moon? Well, where we woke up from the nap together today is Taurus 3, a sleepwalker. And I'm like, was I walking in my sleep? I actually was. I'll tell you a funny little story. I got up in the middle of the night. I'm a caregiver. I live in the home with a 72-year-old man, my father, who has Parkinson's, and I've been taking care of him here. I'm kind of like a living nurse, chef, cook, cleaner, whatever. I do everything. And I hear him when he hollers, and I don't even know what the hell time it was. I like jumped up out of bed in my underwear and like ran across the house because I heard him hollering for me. He thought that there was something leaking from the ceiling, and I might have been sleepwalking. And it's funny because when I popped up on this chart today, I'm like, we really must have landed together. Y'all must be in my house, like the house that's your house, it's our house, and it's being power replicated, right? Because this is where we woke up. So Taurus 3, a sleepwalker. Everything begins with an inward cast. And then if you wish to get anywhere, you must go there on the inside and meet yourself there when you arrive. So thank you for advanced home security, where we know that we arrived in our home. Where man's eye on it was protecting you. I might have been the one in my underwear, and I don't mind letting you know. I was probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's what I might look like in that view. So, that might be a little clue for you about what kind of viewing people were having on us when they were pulling us through less lucid states, when some of us weren't as awake about what happens when we sleep. So you must really be willing to meet yourself there in this view to know that some of the things that me personally I didn't want seen, probably somebody was trying to see them in these views, and that's why I got pissed off and I was like, oh, I have this much one eye that's not my money? Well, let's get rid of the ass ETs and let them have the junk ET bin over there where they can claim themselves, and we just put them through this stupid fucking charade that they don't get to pull on us. And here's your magnet. Pull yourself off, because in that 1 degree between 19, where Saturn went retrograde in Capricorn, right here. So we've had all this time to review this. 1 degree between 19 and, we had 22 degrees Pluto here at this time, holding some space for, those 2 that I had room for. And boom, finding us here at 20 degrees. So yeah, it's important what happens when we're, found to be the sleepwalker. And what nobody gets to do with the sand in your eyes to pass over some subscription to your sleeping form on a deep underground Yahweh, a subway, if you will, where the green screen and that pole that you slid your hand on when you were ordering a sandwich prove that a $5 footlong got a lot longer when somebody wanted to twitch their way in on the back end. So I don't let them do things like that in my dreams personally, so I have to pay close attention to how these land, especially when I'm toggled in here and I see it where I woke up from a freaking nap on this day to be your shaman. So you feel a desire to memorize the territory of all the inner ways, and knowing that some things never made it in our home at all, let alone have any place to stay. To remember them, to recognize them, and to be able to follow them when it counts. You feel like you've been taught in the dream state, shown everything in dreamless sleep and through dreams. You are subtly and pervasively closely accompanied by a protective guiding spirit, maybe with a plasma drew in the body that wasn't exactly you, but holding a form of you that might have been more of a camera that woke up while you were being pulled through a dead, saw you scrolling, advanced security look on what people thought they were buying with joint ventures, especially if you rented anything or bought one of those phones on a payment plan or shared satellite access and they wanted to sat as L, like God, and play it light, keep a little light on there and sip on their tea and pretend they didn't try to Saturn on you and me as energy and seeing you and selling out on your cashed in records. And so why 19 degrees to 20 degrees in this view here on the bioenergetic warfare capture screen here proves these transits are for, and why this green screen really mattered in those shots that my duo partner took locked this door on sleepwalkers. Because you're subtly and pervasively closely accompanied by a protective guiding spirit held within the soul's alembic, entrusted to the angels. For angels have ascended from inside technology that was tight, tech tight explosion much. Living in threshold sensitivity, attuned to the edge, led by the spirit through darkness into light, subliminal, enchanted, anxious. And that through and evermore entering into the ease where I edit this because peace wasn't all it was cracked up to be. How many times did you say you wanted peace and find somebody doing these things around you, not knowing what they could do on the other side of an HTTP for 5 on it, to see on the other side of the web with biometrics and where the rabbits and the Easter bunnies actually live and what those Easter eggplants might look like? When somebody was looking for a piece of you too, how about the ease that was never, ever touched for a piece to be taken? How about always searching for that and knowing that something more was being returned, and remembering in your soul the lost earth, or the ear thing that we didn't buy into that way, and giving over to those spirits? You belong to the infinite and wander through the finite worlds. I call them the false material lens view, to collect that which we never scattered. You are like a stranger knowing something else is at stake here. Maybe they landed on those degrees together, trying to land on our 1. And we decided between 19 and 20, we'll take the 0 one, the one that doesn't land on a poker. And why 0 degrees Cancer as my rising, my ascendant, is where I've been witnessing to everyone. So that's what this is for me. That's the lost ear thing, you know? Where we didn't get lost in the tower of babbling bullshit to land on those stakes like that. Come on. Real source creation code now. So yeah, something huge was at stake there. Something else is going on here. Something else is completely involved. And so that's where we are right now. That's what it says here, at least. Taurus 3. We might have already stepped into Taurus 4. Let's see. I can probably refresh my chart, but this is what we're walking into, because between now and on tomorrow, we go from the sleepwalker to a man talking in his sleep. Maybe this is my waking dream. People ask me, Jacob, what do you dream about? And I'm like, here, I'm going to give you a really cool video. You can listen to me explain my waking dream and how I woke up in the big body when I was dead. Nox Mente had interviewed me. It's a radio show some of my friends, Jared Hulu and Nish, do. And I explain this, but I'm awake in my dream happening right now. So this thing about sleeping and where we go, it's like what I've been trying to figure out in these patterns. And this is basically Taurus 4, man talking in his sleep to you, where I'm proving to you what I do in my dreams. I'm like, you mean this thing where I'm awake talking to you completely lucidly? And where tomorrow, on the morrow, where those pink diamonds are safe, we're going to find out what happened to what's in between the man talking in his sleep and what those little dolls actually do to integrate in a form in one source creation, because tiny porcelain figures of people are at Taurus 5, where we've gone from wandering alone into a place where we are galvanized into pink diamonds, but where we don't get blasted and stuck in things like porcelain to be locked in form, where some people can sell you a diamond that's technically you and crush you for more and give you a discount and tell you it's spiritual. So these are the things that are coming to an end, my love, and this is where my coffee wanted to draw a dot. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it to you, because I'm hearing that some of you all might really like this book. You can actually find a link of it online, aquaorfire.net. I will try to remember to link that here below too, in case you didn't want to buy it. But I recommend it. It's Inside Degrees, Developing Your Soul Biography Using the Chandra Symbols by Elias Lonsdale. It's been excruciatingly accurate for me in the foretelling of what's ahead, in the place that was never behind either, where I can wake up out of bed and pull up today's moon and see where I'm patterned in here as a 0-point reader. So for some of you all that follow along with me, it's a good accompaniment, especially if you're one of those like reformed like Christian people, because I'm here to have like some friends here that are like, I am probably like the worst Christian. I can't call myself a Christian, but I study that stuff. I grew up with it and I relate to Jesus and some of the other characters. And I hear that from a lot of people. That's how I felt too, because I was like, this is like a parody on my life. And I kept seeing when I would look at people's birth charts where you literally are being put on a cross for that 1 degree that we just figured out here, just like I was. And where it's like, oh, is this where they like try to turn you into, you know, some kind of Christmas card that you didn't agree to be, and, you know, find yourself looking like, whoops, that's not where I wanted to go. Well, that was the Pisces. Well, here, this is what happened on the day of the full moon recently. I'll go ahead and just leave it here. I had this one still saved in here because this is actually what we did. We wrote an eclipse pattern together. During these penumbral eclipses that have gone since about 2014, I will say I was really feeling very led to write some things out for this evacuation that we're doing here, where we eliminate anything that isn't in our source code, our likeness and protection. And where this Pisces full moon left us, it was at Pisces 21. And on that day, we actually, clocked that day's moon at Pisces 25 for the turn of the day too. And so it was interesting seeing how people might be frightened during those eclipses and what it means to defy gravity, when really gravity was there to be acknowledged as the creator, I think, of all of the things that we decide to keep versus the false creations. And for me, it's the grave that I learned to thank. So it's grave, I thank you. And where we learn what that I and what TY is in a world where tektite, we have abbreviated views on what hashes and stakes and a more modern way to look at sigil and the power of what we understand in just one letter, like how powerful the letter F is. For some people, if they see the letter F, it's like, ugh, they get like that. Or if you write something in capital letters. And so we learn about things like capitalization. We learn about things like glyphs and what these patterns are that I've been telling you. How many times do you sit down for an astrology reading where they will even sit there and tell you what this means here? What is this thing here? For me, I hear that's my moon, okay? That my moon is Leo, and that's what Leo looks like. For me, it's more like I have exalted Capricorn Mars placement in where it is. And for me, it's more like seeing this red being thrown like a flag or like a hey bitch chase sort of pattern. Like if you've ever seen what they do in Spain when they tempt the bulls, they have the red cape and they wave it like this at the bull. It looks like Mars taking away that like the bull lion bullshit, and you'd really have to understand the major arcana to see what happened here. It's like the closing of the shield. And so if you can see it like that, then you can see where we actually are when we land together on this, like on today, where the transits prove that I'm Mercury speaking as Mars and this moon that didn't happen that way, and that this Leo isn't really what Leo looks like. It's just like the red carpet liftoff here, where we're waving it in their face and saying, here's where the liftoff happens. And it's like the magnets pulling off like a tablecloth, and then poof, where did the dishes go? Screw them. We don't even want those dishes. We're tuning it out. We got a new ear thing going on over here. Interstate. That's where all the healing is, my friends. That's where it is. That's how we land in a place where we literally became vaporized in a pixel scatter, where even the electrons that were inconvenienced by having to take on those shapes and combinations learned what we liked better, and we let those things that lift themselves off and that chase those keys, Satoshi Nakamoto kind of moves, where they went King Herod on themselves and clip themselves for energy, so that house note with double swinging E's, the energy that doesn't look inside and say, ooh, I'm the alien in your house, I got 5 on it, fuck you, 5-1, that kind of stuff doesn't get to happen. Exactly. It's like down to that, y'all. So now what do we have? Well, Houston has a problem because that's not where I am. I'm in a place called 10 Brennan Craxistan, spelled in capital letters, where the open gates expand just like how AOL, ping-dong, ping-dong, ET, phone home, where's the web, is it a veil? Or is it the law of attraction, where we thought that we pulled those things our way and we're on the wrong side of it the whole time? That's what we're looking at right now, because 10 Brennan Craxistan is what Texas never was. Just like Art of Love is where we all became what we love by proof in our name and how we expressed it in energy at Zeropoint, how it's tracked to your irises, the IRS with a wink in the place, or nobody came into that wink and tried to stick their hand in there and show up in your life, or leak some energy out of you there and drive up interest rates, and now you know what interest rates are and where the rest of your energy is. Maybe the creative part that writes books or stars in action movies or has like that perfect body and makes all that money and lives in a little pixel somewhere and doesn't realize that it didn't land so great in the simulation it thought it caught itself in. And what a real sweep is. Sounds like that. And what these green hyper infusions are and why it's like, okay, yeah, they thought they got those dots and there's some holes in here because your code's coming back to you here, and we know how to shine red, blue, and green lasers now. And those of you that are safe in Halo 8 are receiving the infusions already. So if you can't see me on this screen right now where I'm actually waving my hand like that, you're not in private Halo 8 seeing me live. You're seeing me on a premiere or catching this later. And I would call legislator to bitch them out, let them know you're not voting for them anymore because you wanted to be inside of the omnipotence creation where we created a biosphere, number 7, where water is safe and nobody gets to take your source code energy. This is the end of times that way. And some of us are making a dance party where it's safe inside. So thank you for being here. And for those of you that like the love readings, I hear it's time for us to get a song from Archangel Gabriel. And I'm going to have some water first. Because water helps. And also, I'm going to talk about this guy here. I say guy lightly, he, she, they, other. This domestico is what was looking up at me, and I'm here for some of you all. This is where you get to evaluate how helpful people have been, especially if they show up suited up like they're real official with something. You know, they're very professional about what they've offered you, especially if they've made a good check or they get taken care of in some sort of stipend way, and what the millet our way is for, and the why. These suits might be spooky little troopers that don't actually exist much further, and they have evacuation papers to just mysteriously poof. And what being dressed in that cloth is, when they were just taking the codes all around, and we were in one light container coming in this way to infuse, and they just took all the shit, and it's like, poof, scattered. It goes that way, and oops. I even strummed my guitar hard, so here, take a guitar rip on that one too. But basically, I'm hearing for some of you all, you're going to find out that they would have said things like basically to you and not been able to show you where they even land and whether or not where their little come together hashes and stakes land them in a place that isn't completely off where we are, and what karma actually is, and how some people are actually going to like just drop and turn into these clothes, because that's what being a haunt is, when we've not allowed our source code and our plastic that we all share to be pulled into those situations where we kind of technically share one body like that. So it's like learning about that, and there's some love involved in this too, because for some of you all, this has all been about like protecting the things that you love that maybe you didn't have the words for, is what I'm hearing. Because for some of you all, this is definitely going to have romantic connotations with this Lamante showing up here, especially if there's somebody that really does show up for you and like is like in help for you. But I'm hearing for some of you all, it's like, no, you've got somebody that shows up and help for you that's like there too much, and it's like, I don't know how to say, please stop helping me. Please stop helping me. You're here too much. And like where for some people, it's like knowing the difference between stalking and like really being wanted there, and how sometimes people will dress it up that way. It's like, well, I show up all the time and I do this for you. And where sometimes people have had to learn how to send them off in their packing papers. And look, it's like she can't say anything because this is a letter coming to somebody, and this is a woman who hides her feelings here, sometimes in love, and this one here as well. Sometimes this one's showing up with more like virginal spirit, or maybe this is somebody sometimes celibate or a little bit younger who's like just figuring things out, and she's pointing behind her. She's like that, like what she can't say. And it's I'm hearing about people that need to be made to go away. So for some of you all, this is all what this is about. This is about learning the subtle difference between what is really actually there for you in a way that is in congruence with what you're growing, and in some cases where you might have picked up something that you grew with and grew from, but where it doesn't get to pervade and continue growing inside of your landscape. And sometimes that is a very difficult decision to make, and why discernment is everything, and why we've got targeted, individuated scatter frequencies on everything going here, and why that sound is going to help us there. And I'm hearing these 3 cards that wanted to be left here. Well, there's more than that. 4 are the ones that need to be turned around. Actually, there's 5 here. Let's see what we got. So we've got the woman who's been waiting here. So Speedy, she's crying about the ship that went and passed. She's crying about the lover that didn't come to stay and the 3 that showed up instead to play. Vidiliranti. And a seasonal depression that sometimes comes up, and sometimes it's like not just seasonal depression, it's like how she feels when somebody makes a pass at her the wrong way. And I'm hearing for some of you all, this is like, it's really challenging, especially if you're like somebody that people look at a lot. And I'm hearing this is especially true if you're like one of those moms, because they're telling me, I don't like this terminology, but that MILF, you know, mom I'd like to fuck thing, I think it's so tacky. But you know, it's like that kind of thing, like how people treat her is what I'm hearing when she is out with the child. And just a real feeling of like depression and sickness and malaise that people have, and needing some help that can come to stay. And so I'm hearing for some of you all, this is like really interesting time. For some of you all, this is like missing, you know, the dad, or missing the father of your child, or being glad. And for somebody else, I'm hearing that he left, that he had like 3 stupid brothers to go home to, is what I'm hearing about, because he couldn't keep up with what it is to actually be in care, is what I'm hearing. And so I'm just hearing different stories for some of you all. Just know that I'm here and that I'm listening, and that, you know, for some of you all, especially if you lost somebody, because the El Vidovo is showing up here too. I'm hearing for some of y'all, this is just like grievances. It's not really somebody dead. I'm hearing like, God, I wish he would die. It would be more easy to deal with. But, you know, I'm hearing for some of y'all, it's like the things you kind of have to put into the dead zone because they're not worth carrying further. And so I'm just going to keep shuffling on this, and then let me grab the headphones, because I'd like to hear the song when we get there. We're actually going to get a love song, and I'm going to spray a little bit more sage for those of you that need to be clear here. All right, let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I heard somebody ask if I'll like play my guitar for you sometime. I might struggle through a song once or twice. I don't know, we'll see. I was playing one for Private Halo 8 earlier. It's a little out of practice, but yeah, I'll do that sometime. And for those of you that are interested, I'll just mention it here too while I'm doing this. First of all, thank you to those of you that support my spirit. I really appreciate it. Some of you have been extremely supportive, where I can even get new stuff and bring it here on my unmonetized channel, where I just do this for free. I have Black Moon Astrology cards and Queen of the Moon Oracle cards, and also the new Radiant Waiter Rider-Waite Smith Tarot. And I'm going to do some unboxings, I think. I'm probably not in this video here, but I was thinking I might actually come on for a live and do an unboxing. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be on Twitch or not. I'm waiting to make sure that they made it safe for somebody important to me, actually several people that are very important to me, and the amount of subscriptions that they had received from shady reasons that people were driving interest rates that I saw. And so I'm kind of like, I don't know. I was going to start doing some more stuff on there because, I mean, I'm safe and protected here. I didn't like what was happening on a JV partnership agreement that I saw that they had negotiated with Twitch. And because of what was happening with Facebook and the incubation tanks that we have at YouTube, where it's like, what happens when we mix red and blue together for this purple rain cloud? and how it can be safe for some of us to be in that purple storm, which it's not in Fortnite. If you've ever played it, you get killed. And I'm like, nope. They must be on the wrong side of the ball, because on the inside, it's like the party where we're like dancing and stuff and what we've been programming. But what Subway sandwiches doesn't get to do, and where I had to draw the line on where I'll put some of my energy with things because of joint arrangements people would make with people that protected a pedophile. It's a really big deal to me. I don't buy Subway sandwiches. I don't buy Jimmy John's either. You know, the guy that like goes around claiming that he's proud for killing large game animals and like parading, showing that he shoots elephants and things like that, and tigers and bears. And why I don't buy domains from GoDaddy, same reason. You know, I'm a political spender like that. And when I found out that Subway sandwiches was protecting that pedophile Jared, I just completely dropped it. And when they made a $5 footlong, and it's $5 to subscribe for subs on Twitch, and they were trying to get their hand on it through some underground power negotiation to pull them through the, hey, what if you pulled your hand on that pole there and then we twisted the cameras here? It looks like they're sliding down the pole and they're like doing things. And what they were doing with those Twitch packages and why they shut down the biddies for several days last month. So I'm making sure they do the right thing before I go on there. But I was going to go on there and do a live stream on my unboxing. I might try it here on YouTube for some of you all. We'll see about that. But Lanemika showing up, and this is the reveal on where assholery goes. So hey, I think this is probably about what we were just talking about. So yes, it's the conversation of the big reveal, making sure that those thieves that would try to put their hands on you. See this guy with his hand on the snake there? He's like, oh, it's a nice snake. Came in playing two-faced, because you can't tell if he's going forward or backward. His arms are really weird in there. It's like there's two bodies twisted. And I'm hearing for some of you all, it's like people that want to play boyfriend or like put themselves in these situations. And that's actually what these weird green screen rooms were all about and what they've been trying to do in Dubai. And so Twitch, did you figure it out with Subway yet? Or are you still lying about it? Because we don't protect pedophiles and you've all been witnessed at Zeropoint. Okay, so I'll probably be on YouTube for this. I might go on Twitch later. We'll see. But we're definitely going to do an unboxing video, and for those of you that are interested, take a look for the notifications. They'll be coming through, and you can always subscribe to me at Twitter, because I usually send a notification there too, so you'll know where I'm going to be. All right. Yeah, we'll really get to a love reading now. I think I've definitely shuffled these quite a bit, but I had some other energies on it. And, just clear those up, and now we're going to get ourselves a love song and see what's showing up on the Art of Love musical deck. For those of you that needed a love song. Alright. Oh, here we go. Yes. So, we've got Do You Feel It by Chaos. And that'll be fitting, you know? We've got a new way to examine things, like maybe what was never ever gravity and what the Big Bang's all about, and land your coordinates here and maybe find somebody that's worth seeing that wouldn't have looked in on you while you were changing and would have just insisted that you have a safe mirror instead to witness yourself first. And what some of us wake up in as the one who ascended into form that maybe we know now as La Legrezza, and what the butterfly knows about chrysalis and transmutation of energy and new patterns that we can behold. And what it is to stand bold, because La Costanza, she stands boldly. Her coronation is that crown over her head that you see there. That's her enlightenment. And she's standing there by all that rubble, you know? Maybe the chaos that she learned to grow up around and how she learned how to prop herself up. And then we've got this Letterado, and I'm hearing for some of you all, this is like the couple, and it's like he might be built of metal too, and Maybe he's something like me. I've got 3 titanium ribs in here, and I'm a yogi too. But some of these people here have grown up really tough here just to stand this way. And I'm hearing for some of you, you're going to realize that you've kind of run away with me now, partner, and that this is like end of the world date time where somebody you didn't know that really was holding out the same way as you is like ready the same way you are now, and that it's a different way to match because water fills the space of everything. Water doesn't go asking, do I put it here, do I put it there? It's like if water's needed, it just expands us and we rise together in that hold. And so for some of you, this has been what you've been waiting for. It's like what you learned to be when things weren't real, and maybe somebody had to close a book on the other end of false stories too, and things that couldn't be true, and maybe where the mightiness of that pen is something that we all took a look at when we wrote an eclipse that could come true and we could have safety around all those cameras. And what it is to have a certain kind of melancholy and malaise, and things that I hear from some of you all even reaching out to me saying thank you for these readings and proving why I've been so depressed. And it's kind of depressed knowing that things have all been fake, and where I say, yes, I understand, my love. And where I also say, those things that are around you, those books and those things that did feel good, you're kind of like the page that comes out of the fold, where you just open up and it's like where the jacket became you, and you were what the jacket looks like, and the ET that actually becomes true as the book you never knew was actually you, but you knew it was you somehow. You just needed the right witness around to remove any of those obfuscations, you know, those false clouds. What it is to come up from the grave that way. What it is to be incepted in light. Why a butterfly might need to play. What l'allegrezza actually means to me. This is Italian here. This is actually encouraging us to keep it light and to go the distance and to know things that little things like Lilith know about evenings and twins and owls and lovers and flowers that were rules that went lower because little things protected much better. And that's what we know about ripples of energy like butterfly wings and hummingbirds. I love you. I hope that was helpful. If I can do one of these with just your energy, a private personal reading, just follow the prompts. I've been making jiggly, splashy things that show you where to order those, and I guess it's that way now, but I would love to do one for you. And if you don't need one or don't want one, that's great too. Love you anyway, and I'll catch you again when you're more of you, and we'll be back on the morrow. See you again soon. Bye for now.
Promise that you'll catch me.